The wheels of the taxi rolled to a stop in front of 1247 Willow Creek Lane, a house that had been home for the past 12 years. Michael Reynolds clutched his leather briefcase, weary from the long flight from Singapore. 2 weeks of intense consulting work had left him exhausted, but the thought of seeing his daughter Sophie and wife Elena made the grueling trip worthwhile. Something felt off the moment he stepped onto the familiar front walkway. The meticulously maintained garden Elena had always prided herself on looked abandoned. Overgrown weeds pushed through the carefully laid stone path, and the vibrant rose bushes she'd nurtured for years now hung wilted and neglected. Michael pushed open the front door, expecting the warm embrace of familiarity. Instead, he was met with an echoing emptiness that sent a chill down his spine. The living room was stripped bare. No artwork, no family photos, no furniture. Just stark white walls and a cold, lifeless space that bore no resemblance to the home he remembered. His heart began to race, a mixture of confusion and rising panic flooding his system. "Elena?" he called out, his voice bouncing off the empty walls. Silence answered. Scattered across the hardwood floor were several large black garbage bags. With trembling hands, Michael unzipped the closest one. His personal belongings, suits, casual clothes, personal documents, were haphazardly stuffed inside, crumpled and carelessly packed. Each bag revealed more of his life, dismantled and discarded. His favorite leather-bound journal from college, the watch his father had given him before passing away, photographs of Sophie from every year of her life, all compressed into these anonymous black containers, like discarded memories. A glint of white caught his eye through the front window. Michael approached, his reflection ghostly against the glass. A for sale sign stood proudly on the manicured lawn, its bold letters a stark declaration of his sudden displacement. The real estate agency's contact information was prominently displayed, but it was the smaller text beneath that made Michael's world tilt on its axis. Listing agent, Elena Reynolds, his wife, the woman he'd supported through her career transitions, the mother of his child. She had not just removed him from the house, she had systematically erased him. His phone buzzed, a text from Elena, clinical and detached. "Lawyer will contact you. Don't come to the house again." 12 years of marriage, dissolved in 2 weeks, reduced to garbage bags and a real estate listing. Michael Reynolds stood in the hollow shell of what was once his home, understanding with crystal clarity that nothing would ever be the same again. Michael's first call was to his closest friend, Jack Reyes, a former military intelligence analyst now working in private security. They met at a dimly lit coffee shop, away from prying eyes and potential surveillance. "She's been planning this for months," Michael said, spreading out the documents he'd managed to gather. Bank statements, partial email threads, fragments of a carefully constructed betrayal. Jack's trained eye scanned the papers methodically. "Look here." He pointed to a series of bank transfers. These transactions started 6 months ago, small amounts at first, designed to be overlooked. The story began to take shape. Elena had been methodically dismantling their life while Michael traveled. Transfer after transfer, document after document painted a picture of calculated extraction. She'd been working with Marcus Holloway, a local real estate developer whose name appeared repeatedly in the financial records. "Divorce proceedings were filed 3 months ago," Michael said, his voice a mixture of disbelief and mounting anger. "Without my knowledge, she's already petitioned for full custody of Sophie and wants to sell the house, our house, without my consent." Jack leaned back, his military background evident in his analytical approach. "There's more. These property transfer documents suggest Holloway isn't just her divorce lawyer's contact. He's something more." A quick digital search revealed the deeper connection. Marcus Holloway wasn't just a real estate developer, he was Elena's new romantic partner. The pieces clicked into place with brutal precision. Michael discovered Elena had been systematically removing his name from joint accounts, redirecting his mail, even changing their daughter's school emergency contact information. Each action was a calculated step to completely erase him from their shared life. His professional credentials as a management consultant suddenly seemed weaponized against him. His frequent travel, once a source of pride and financial stability, had been the perfect cover for Elena's methodical plan. She knew exactly how to exploit his absence. "I won't be a victim," Michael said, a cold determination replacing his initial shock. The man who had built international consulting strategies now turned that same strategic mind toward a more personal mission. Jack nodded, recognizing the transformation. "We'll need evidence. Everything documented. Nothing can be left to chance." As they pieced together the timeline of Betrayal, Michael realized this was more than a divorce. This was a complete surgical removal of his entire life, and he was going to ensure Elena understood the true meaning of consequence. The game had changed, and Michael Reynolds was about to change the rules entirely. The War Room, as Michael began to call his temporary workspace, was a meticulously organized space in a nondescript extended-stay hotel. Bulletin boards covered with interconnected documents, digital timelines, and carefully annotated photographs created a complex map of Elena's life. Jack introduced Michael to Sarah Chen, a forensic accountant with a reputation for uncovering corporate malfeasance. Her initial assessment was devastating. "Elena's not just planning a divorce," Sarah explained, her fingers tracing through complex financial documents. "She's executing a comprehensive financial extraction. The deeper they dug, the more layers of manipulation they uncovered." Marcus Holloway wasn't just Elena's romantic partner. He was a key player in a complex real estate development scheme that relied on precise timing and strategic property acquisitions. "Look at these property records," Sarah pointed out. Holloway had a pattern of acquiring properties through shell companies, often just before major municipal development projects. Elena's sudden move to sell their house aligned perfectly with a larger development plan in their neighborhood. Michael's strategic consulting background proved invaluable. He began to see the entire scenario as a complex business problem, one he was uniquely qualified to dismantle. Each piece of evidence was a data point, each connection a potential vulnerability. They discovered that Elena had been slowly transferring assets, manipulating financial records, and positioning herself to maximize her financial gain. Her approach was clinical, almost corporate in its precision. She had leveraged Michael's frequent travel, using his professional commitments as a shield for her machinations. "We need to be 3 steps ahead," Michael told Jack and Sarah during one of their late-night strategy sessions. "This isn't just about proving her wrong. This is about total exposure." Their plan began to take shape. They would meticulously document every financial irregularity, trace the connections between Elena and Holloway's business dealings, gather evidence of potential legal and ethical violations, protect Michael's relationship with his daughter, Sophie, ensure complete professional and personal accountability. Jack's intelligence background proved crucial. He had contacts who could help verify certain suspicions, access sealed records, and provide additional context to their growing body of evidence. "She thought her strategic planning was perfect," Michael said, a cold smile forming. "But she didn't account for one thing. I'm better at strategy than she could ever imagine." The transformation was complete. The once trusting husband was now a calculated strategist, preparing to dismantle the life Elena had so carefully constructed. Every late night, every meticulously examined document brought him closer to his moment of reckoning. Sophie's future, his reputation, his entire life. Everything hung in the balance, and Michael Reynolds was done being a passive participant in his own destruction. The first strike was surgical. Michael's team had uncovered a series of questionable property transactions involving Marcus Holloway's development company. What appeared to be legitimate real estate deals were actually a complex network of shell companies and questionable municipal zoning manipulations. Sarah Chen prepared a comprehensive dossier. Jack reached out to his contacts in investigative journalism. And Michael began to methodically dismantle Holloway's professional reputation. The initial report went to the city's real estate commission. Detailed evidence showed how Holloway had been exploiting zoning loopholes, bribing low-level municipal officials, and creating artificial property value inflation. Each document was a precision-guided missile designed to destroy credibility and trigger official investigations. Simultaneously, Michael targeted Elena's professional standing. Her position as a senior marketing executive at a prestigious tech firm became his next point of focus. Through carefully documented evidence, he demonstrated how her personal conduct violated the company's ethical standards. An anonymous complaint was filed, accompanied by irrefutable documentation of her affair with Holloway, her unauthorized use of company resources, and her systematic deception. The evidence was overwhelming, a professional execution that left no room for defense. The legal front opened on multiple levels. Michael's lawyer, a ruthless litigator named Robert Goldman, filed a comprehensive countersuit to Elena's divorce proceedings. Every financial transfer, every attempt to strip Michael of his parental rights was methodically challenged. "She thought she could write me out of my own life," Michael told Goldman during a strategy session. "Now I'm going to ensure she understands the full consequences of her actions." The most personal strike came through Sophie. Michael had been meticulously documenting his relationship with his daughter, preserving every communication, every moment of connection. Elena's attempt to alienate him from Sophie would become her most significant miscalculation. Phone records revealed multiple instances where Elena had attempted to manipulate Sophie's perception of her father. Text messages, carefully preserved, showed Elena's systematic attempts to turn their daughter against Michael. Jack's investigative skills proved crucial. He uncovered additional evidence of Holloway's past: 2 previous divorces, each accompanied by similar patterns of financial manipulation. This wasn't just about Michael and Elena, it was a systemic pattern of predatory behavior. The local media began to take notice. An investigative piece hinted at the larger story: a real estate developer, a corporate executive, and a web of calculated betrayal. Each revelation was another nail in the coffin of Elena's carefully constructed facade. Michael watched the pieces fall into place with a calculated calm. This wasn't just revenge. This was a precise dismantling of everything Elena believed she had secured. "She thought she was playing chess," Michael told Jack one evening. "I'm playing a game she doesn't even understand." Each move was deliberate, each action calculated. The network of betrayal Elena had constructed was about to come crashing down, and Michael Reynolds would be the architect of its destruction. Elena's counterattack was swift and desperate. She began a calculated campaign to portray Michael as an unstable, vengeful ex-husband. Social media became her battlefield, carefully crafted posts hinting at his supposed mental instability and aggressive behavior. Her first move was to file a restraining order, painting Michael as a potential threat to her and Sophie. The legal document was a masterpiece of manipulation, filled with carefully worded accusations designed to cast doubt on his character. But Michael was prepared. Jack had anticipated such a move, and their documentation was ironclad. Each of Elena's claims was methodically dismantled with hard evidence: phone records, communication logs, professional recommendations, a comprehensive shield against her allegations. The public narrative began to shift. What Elena had intended as a decisive blow instead exposed her own manipulation. Her social media campaign backfired spectacularly. Each post, each accusation, was met with counter-evidence that revealed her true nature. Their mutual professional networks became a battleground. Elena attempted to leverage her corporate connections, spreading whispers about Michael's professional competence. But the investigative groundwork Michael had laid began to bear fruit. The Real Estate Commission launched a full investigation into Marcus Holloway's development company. Elena's relationship with Holloway came under intense scrutiny. What she had believed was a carefully hidden romance became a public spectacle of professional misconduct. Her tech company initiated an internal investigation. The anonymous complaint Michael had filed began to unravel her professional facade. Emails, financial records, and communication logs painted a damning picture of her ethical breaches. Sophie became the unexpected wild card. Despite Elena's attempts to manipulate their daughter's perception, the young girl's intelligence and observational skills proved formidable. Sophie began to see through her mother's carefully constructed narrative. Michael maintained a strategic distance, allowing the evidence to speak for itself. He focused on documenting his relationship with Sophie, preserving every moment of connection. School records, communication logs, and character references created an unassailable record of his commitment as a father. The legal battle intensified. What had begun as a simple divorce proceeding transformed into a complex litigation that exposed the intricate web of deceit Elena had constructed. Robert Goldman, Michael's lawyer, was relentless in dismantling her claims. Public opinion began to turn. What Elena had intended as a decisive victory became a public relations nightmare. Her carefully constructed image began to crumble under the weight of documented evidence. "You thought you could erase me," Michael said during a tense deposition, his voice calm and measured. "Instead, you've only exposed yourself." Each revelation was another blow to Elena's carefully constructed world. The network of connections she had believed would protect her began to disintegrate. Marcus Holloway's development company faced potential criminal investigations. Her corporate position became untenable. The psychological warfare had reached its peak. Elena realized, perhaps for the first time, that Michael was no longer the passive husband she had manipulated for years. He had become a strategic force, capable of dismantling everything she had built. The final confrontation was approaching, and Michael Reynolds was ready to deliver the ultimate checkmate. The courtroom was a battlefield of carefully assembled evidence and shattered illusions. Michael sat composed, his strategic preparation evident in every calculated movement. Elena, once confident, now appeared diminished, her carefully constructed facade crumbling under the weight of irrefutable documentation. Robert Goldman presented the case with surgical precision. Each piece of evidence was a devastating blow: the financial manipulations, the unauthorized property transfers, the systematic attempt to erase Michael from his own life and daughter's world. Sophie sat behind Michael, her presence a silent testament to the truth. At 12 years old, she had become more perceptive than Elena had ever anticipated. The young girl's testimony would prove to be the most devastating evidence of all. When Sophie took the stand, her words were measured but powerful. She spoke of her mother's attempts to manipulate her perception, of the sudden changes in their home, of the constant whispers and hidden conversations. Her honesty was a weapon more potent than any legal argument. "Mom told me Dad had abandoned us," Sophie said, her voice clear and unwavering. "But I saw the truth. I saw how she was the one who was leaving everything we used to be." The courtroom fell silent. Marcus Holloway's empire began to crumble simultaneously. The Real Estate Commission's investigation uncovered a web of fraudulent property dealings, shell companies, bribery, systematic manipulation of municipal zoning laws. His empire of deceit collapsed under its own weight. Elena's tech company terminated her employment. The investigation revealed multiple ethical breaches: using company resources for personal gain, conducting an inappropriate relationship with a business associate, systematically misusing her position. Michael never raised his voice. He never displayed anger. Instead, he demonstrated a clinical dismantling of everything Elena had constructed. Each piece of evidence was a precision-guided missile, destroying her credibility piece by piece. The financial settlement became a secondary consideration. Michael's true victory was far more comprehensive. He had exposed the entire network of manipulation, protecting his relationship with Sophie and restoring his professional reputation. The judge's ruling was unequivocal. Full custody would be granted to Michael. Elena would be required to pay significant, child support. Her attempts to sell the family home were invalidated. Her professional credentials were under review. "Ms. Reynolds," the judge said, her voice cutting through the courtroom, "your actions demonstrate a systematic and calculated attempt to destroy your family unit. The court does not take such matters lightly." In that moment, Elena realized the true extent of her miscalculation. The strategic mind she thought she could manipulate had become her ultimate downfall. Michael approached Sophie after the hearing. No words were necessary. A simple embrace spoke volumes. A father reclaiming his place, not through anger, but through unwavering love and strategic resilience. "We're going home," he whispered to Sophie. And for the first time in months, home meant something real again. The final act of revenge was not destruction, it was restoration. Michael had not just won, he had rebuilt. 6 months later, the world had fundamentally changed. Michael and Sophie had rebuilt their life in a new home, not the house Elena had tried to steal, but a place of their own choosing. The legal battles were over, the dust had settled. Elena's professional reputation never recovered. Marcus Holloway faced multiple legal investigations, his once promising real estate empire reduced to ruins. Their attempt to destroy Michael had instead destroyed themselves. Sophie thrived. The trauma of the betrayal transformed into a powerful lesson about integrity, strategy, and resilience. Michael ensured she understood the importance of truth, of standing up for oneself without compromising one's humanity. "Revenge isn't about destroying the other person," Michael told Sophie during one of their many heart-to-heart conversations. "It's about protecting yourself and rebuilding something stronger." His consulting practice experienced an unexpected renaissance. The very strategic thinking that had dismantled Elena's plans now attracted high-profile clients who admired his calculated approach and unwavering integrity. Jack remained a close friend and confidant. Their bond, forged through the most challenging period of Michael's life, became an unbreakable connection. Sarah Chen continued to provide professional support, her forensic skills a testament to the power of meticulous preparation. The house on Willow Creek Lane was eventually sold, not by Elena, but through a court-mandated process that ensured Michael received his fair share. It became a symbol of their collective renewal rather than a monument to betrayal. Sophie found strength in her father's approach. She learned that true power comes from understanding, preparation, and maintaining one's moral compass. The experience transformed her from a child caught in a difficult situation to a resilient, intelligent young woman. Michael realized that the ultimate revenge was not destruction, but reconstruction. He had not just survived Elena's betrayal, he had emerged stronger, more focused, and more connected to what truly mattered. As they sat together on a quiet evening, Sophie working on her homework and Michael reviewing a consulting proposal, they both understood a fundamental truth. Home is not a place. It's a feeling of belonging, of love, of unwavering support. They had found their way home,